Holly Williams is joining us now from Istanbul, Turkey. Holly, this has really been a months-long offensive. What has the reaction been to this victory from the ground?
Well, scenes of jubilation, Anne-Marie. Soldiers celebrating on the streets of Mosul yesterday after the Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi came to the city to announce victory. We should point out, though, that there are still reports this morning of heavy fighting inside Mosul. And I think the reality is that Iraqi forces will still be clearing neighborhoods in Mosul for weeks and perhaps months to come, because we'll see there what we've seen in every city, town and village that has been clawed back from ISIS, and that is houses that have been booby-trapped with explosives, IEDs, improvised explosive devices on the roads, and I expect that in Mosul we'll also see ISIS sleeper cells staying behind to carry out terrorist attacks against both Iraqi forces and perhaps also against civilians from Mosul that return to the city. And that, by the way, is, more broadly speaking, also the future of ISIS. They are losing their caliphate, or so-called Islamic State, that they proclaimed 3 years ago now. They are losing territory very rapidly, both in Iraq and across the border in Syria. And as they do so, and when they eventually lose all of that territory, then I think what we'll see is that ISIS will return to its roots, if you will, and turn into an insurgency, and we'll see them carrying out terror attacks in the same towns and cities that they used to rule.
Very interesting. You mentioned, homes being booby-trapped and just how dangerous it is. Are people attempting to return to their neighborhoods? And if they are, what are they finding there?
Well, there have been for months already, certainly in East Mosul, which was retaken earlier this year, and they're finding in many cases destruction. I mean, it's extraordinary for us when we drive through Mosul, just the sheer numbers of buildings, homes, shops, government offices that have been completely destroyed, that are unusable, that will need to be completely rebuilt. And that's a heavy irony, really, because Iraqi forces have had to destroy Mosul in order to reclaim it. And there's another question as well, which is, how is Mosul going to function going forward? Because remember when ISIS went on the rampage against northern Iraq back in 2014, many people in Mosul greeted ISIS as they rolled into the city. They saw them as their champions. There were celebrations on the street of Mosul back in 2014. And why is that? Well, it's because Mosul is a majority Sunni Muslim city, and the government in Iraq is dominated by Shiite Muslims, and many people in Mosul had come to resent that government, and they saw ISIS as a better option. Now, they no longer feel that way, at least in large part. But the question now is, who is going to be in control of Mosul, under what terms of conditions, and how does Iraq, the Iraqi government, the people of Iraq, stop something like this from happening again?
Right, not just about rebuilding the buildings, clearly, it's about rebuilding the society, the people living in those buildings. Holly Williams in Istanbul, thank you so much.